Good morning, it's June 8th, about 9:45 a.m., and I'm just going to do a little update on silver here. And me and my buddy are going to be doing a little bit more trading on some silver mining, some gold mining stocks, and we're just going to be taking a little bit more detailed look at silver and a little bit more, well, we're going to do some estimation and some guesstimation about what silver is going to do in the short term. Just see if we can get a little bit of an edge here with some of these trades that we may or may not do here in the near future. So I like to take a look from the long term always, and I just get you guys situated with what I did here. I just drew a trend line from the top and then a little bit more of a level trend line, and I got short term, long term. That's what I've done here. So I got a little bit more of a short term support. The same thing here with the long term on the bottom, as above so below, forming more or less a triangle here, and giving us a little bit of giving us some range here that we're gonna more likely play within. And if we can break through one of these support lines, then that gives us a new little wedge to go off of. So I have this line right here as well. This and it has a 0.718. What I did there, just to clue you guys in right away, I just went on this little mark and did the fib retracement right from the bottom in 2000, and we went right to the top of that bull run, and you could see there the 786, 78.6. It's not funny, I put the wrong damn number, but that's 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 how I got this this support here. So it's not just this near immediate support right there, but it's also the Fibonacci 0.78 percentile retracement from that last run. So we have that for a definite long-term support right here at about $14 or a little bit high 13s. And then I also got a little bit of a short-term support right here, and we'll be able to get an appreciation why I put that there once we go into the shorter time frames. So here I just wanted to take a look at silver and see how much it correlated with, let's say, some of these indicators I like to use. I mean, these indicators are as useful as the asset you're looking at. So sometimes these have good correlations and you can use them, and other times they seem kind of worthless. But right here we can definitely see how there's a pretty definite top here on the month sense here. I mean, it gets up a little bit higher, like you can see here. We're getting into this 10 range, so it's reaching levels that it's never reached before, and then you can kind of see how it's flattening out here. It should give you a little bit of suspicion that maybe the party's over, cops are coming. And then here at the MACD, you can kind of see that it has the crossover right there, which is kind of the signal that the party's over. So those are okay here. Not a real clear definitive time when it's supposed to start, but we could use that cup analogy and say, well, when silver kind of broke out of the $7.20 range, it did drop off right after, which is kind of like a fake out almost. I imagine you'd be pretty worried right here. Now just thinking in hindsight, but it inevitably formed another little cup here and busted through. So you could be using those type of indicators to make a estimation when to come in, but I guess I just proved it wasn't the best there. We got a sign right here. There's kind of a clear entry right here, but that's already after quite a substantial party has went down. So looking at this, like looking at some of these highs here, on the month, like this momentum's not greatly correlated. So I was just giving it a little star system. I mean, trying to rate the usefulness in each situation. I don't know how much I'll use that, but I would say, yeah, this isn't the most applicable place to use the momentum. It's not like real high definitive times, but it's what we have right here. And you could say that once this has started reaching up to a high mountain, I mean, maybe it's an indication that it's done. This looks definitely like a bear market. Kind of had this pop of the bubble and then fizzled down. Now we're just kind of coasting. So let's move up into the time frame to the week, and now we got ourselves situated, and you can see why we're like this. We got these trend lines coming down from the long term. It'll give us an appreciation where we're at, and just to look historically how, let's say, this momentum and MACD have worked. I think it's worked pretty well in terms of just like crossovers. Like when you look at where these crosses happen, you could say that's a golden cross. It did sniff that rise pretty well. Right here, there might have been a couple fake outs, but looks worthwhile. Looks like the momentum has a couple good indications. Like right here, that's a pretty good sign that it had that switch around. I guess you never know when the party's over, but usually when you start reaching these higher levels, especially this double top action here, I mean, that's where. Another thing with the momentum in particular is when you see like a huge movement in the bar, so like from right here down to right there, that would be very scary for me, especially on a week. Just like how this bar right there was really bullish. It went from increasingly bullish just to a complete turnaround. So anytime you see a big jump in the bar, like it's kind of suggesting a more volatile move is coming, versus when you see this a nice slow steady decline or incline, the moves aren't so dramatic. Now these aren't what determine the moves, it's just a reaction, or it's just an indicator of the momentum. So these are just other little handy tools, and I wanted to just look at them a little bit historically to see like what kind of use case do they have, right? I mean, but typically when you see these lines crossing over, you could suspect maybe a change of momentum to the upside. You don't know if it's just going to be a little fizzle up and fizzle back down. Like, you know, if you used it right here, let's say in January 2017, you would have bought in right here, you would have rode it up right there, and then if you didn't watch your assets, I mean, watch this momentum right there, you could have got a little bit worried that, hey, we're going back down, how far are these rides going to be? That's more or less how I like to use these momentums. You can kind of get that it's going to go down or up, but you don't really know how severe. So it's nice when you see it. It's kind of nice when you see it just kind of, go up volatilely and go down like slowly, because then you can assume that it's going to be making more progress one way versus the other. So here on silver, we could say that, yeah, we had a nice, good weekly crossover back here, which, I mean, for me, I was tossing the kitchen sink at it for sure. And just to give us a perspective where we're at right now, like we're in quite a bit of resistance right now. You can say we got this downward long-term trend line. There's not too many touches here, to be honest. So how strong is this? Maybe it's not that strong, but kind of the 1, 2, 3. You can definitely see where we're getting pushed down right here. So if we could break through this and close above it, I would suspect that, yeah, it would be a really bullish indicator to me, and especially if we could get above, let's say, this one right here. And yeah, that's what I see here. So long term, or in a week-to-week sense here, I don't think we're quite done moving up, but will we have to come down briefly, or will we pause for a second? It says that, you never know how long this is going to continue, but usually you would be suspecting that we would continue up. Now, when we look at this MACD here, you can see that it's already starting to round a little bit. So that might be giving us an insight to this, what it might be doing. So we can see the wicks here. We've got sold back down. So as much as that is a huge increase right there, well, obviously you can see the difference in price it just is representing. This looks like it's slowly rounding a little bit. And when that happens, it's not crazy to have a little bit of a downturn. Looking in the daily sense here, I mean, I like to say cents, but it's the time frame. So just bear with me when I say that. We can see here we got another golden cross, which is usually a nice sign that, hey, we're going positive. But also you can say right there, we're having a death cross, or you'd say that, hey, this might be indicating a little bit of retracement back downward. So you can also see here on the momentum, it's kind of reached a peak. It kind of had a peak, went down. So you can see it went up a lot, but you can see the angle. The angle is much more, and that's usually going to represent the volatility. So that's a much steeper angle, let's say, than right there, right? So that's going to reflect in the volatility as well. So when you see it kind of going down gradually, Yeah, it's probably going to go down, but it's not going to be vicious. I don't think so, unless there's some new pandemic, right? But just to shake my head for a moment, that's why I have this short-term support about $16.50 right here, because we have support right here. We got supported down. We got supported here. We got support right there. So we got 2 or 3 touches right there, and also it's an even number, 1650. I think that's going to be a little bit of the support here. It's already getting support at 1750 quite nicely, and if we even go in further, let's say the 4-hour, you can say that we're getting supported at 1750 here. So you could say we can say that we've already went down and we've kind of already starting to move up a little bit too. So you can see how this kind of works when you go time frame within time frame. For me, like, I assume that we're kind of in a pivotal position with silver right now. Rambling on about all that stuff, I mean, obviously my position with silver, I mean, it's always different when you look at a more short-term time frame, but I suspect movement within here. And I mean, I think just for me, I can get a little bit more ahead of what's going to happen, just being over analytic, and I can see things before they happen sometimes. But it's not crazy to say that we could retrace back down 1650 here and then continue back up. I mean, that's just kind of normal movements in this game. Like, you go up, you go down, you go up, you go down, you go up. I mean, so you want the movements down to be lesser than the movements up, but right now, it's not crazy to think that silver might retrace back down a little bit and get support somewhere, and then gather steam so that it can break past these intense resistance, because it's been performing quite well. And I mean, it's tough for it just to blast through every single thing. So it's gone up 60%. I mean, we have to respect that. It's went up 60%. Since March. So that's a pretty solid move for, $43 billion market cap. So it's not crazy to think that we're going to have a little bit of retracement back down here, and maybe we'll hover. Maybe we'll get the support. I'm not like dead center on the support. And the worst case scenario, let's say the markets crash. I mean, I would be thinking that we're going to come and this is going to be our next kind of line in the sand. And if it does crash and it wants to come down and whatever, I'm going to draw this little. It can either do something like, oh crap. I'd say I'd either do, something like an ABC here, and then kind of come up, or depending on how bad it is. I mean, it's not crazy. If the worst case scenario, and the proportions are always different, like who knows, right? But if there is, let's say, another huge leg down in the stock market, I mean, imagine people are going to have to sell their silver positions, and then I guess you never know where that would form. I mean, I think that this is a pretty strong support line, but I imagine it would break through, then it would finish up here or something. On a week sense or a month sense, it would have price action below, but that's like the worst case scenario. I mean, now if you're handling positions in gold and silver mining, that's why I'm doing this video, because some of these mining things are quite correlated directly with silver. So if you can predict the price in the silver, you can get maybe more exponential gains on these other stocks. And they're riskier, but there's a lot more reward to be had too. But regardless, I mean, I think that when we can start breaking out of some of these long-term and short-term downward trend lines, once we figure out how much is silver gonna kind of putter out in this daily time frame, once it putters out here, I mean, I could see it moving up and past these resistances. There's no reason why it couldn't on the week and the month. Like, there's no way. We haven't even started. So, but you got to realize that the day it is rolling over. So we just gained 60%. It's not crazy to see it come back down, not at all. With the economic climate, you just think that it's going to go through the roof, but Anyway, just a little bit of my 2 cents here. And I mean, when you keep on looking in the short term, you could say, well, yeah, maybe silver's going to come up here, but it's nothing vicious. It's just kind of, you can see it's not falling. It's not just crashing. It's getting supported quite well. It's 1750, so you never know. It might not even come down here. Like, I mean, that's why I'm not waiting forever. But with my let's say with my silver mining and gold mining stock trades, I'm just, it's all about when you get in, when you get out. So right now I'm probably gonna just wait. I'm gonna wait until we see this daily candle kind of fizzle out. Then I'll look a little bit more, a lot more closely to what's going on. And I mean, I got a lot of breakout buys with a lot of them, because once we start breaking these, it's almost safer instead of trying to trade within this channel, because you really don't know what the heck's gonna go on. It could just freaking do whatever it wants until one day it just flies up out of here. So instead of playing this line in the sand right here, you always play a little above it if you're gonna do the breakout buying. But for me, I think that we're gonna just like kind of putter out a little bit here, and I don't think too much. And I'd be surprised if we got below 1650 unless there's some type of huge global news, and then yeah, we could be seeing a challenge down here. But I think people get now that silver and gold are starting to twinkle in the eyes of people that wasn't twinkling in yet. So you got to realize that you can never be totally certain, but it's a high probability that we're going to see a trade within this range here. You can see that it's kind of a symmetric triangle, and you can see that it's almost a downward triangle. So it's pretty likely that since we got rejected right here, we're going to come back down and probably look at this level right here. And eventually, we're going to break out of this support right there. And sometimes that's just the safer bet to wait. I mean, you can always make more money. Let's say if it comes down here, and then you know that it's going to do well. So that's where you want to add in buy low, sell high, right? I mean, so if you know that you're going to be holding on to silver for a long time, yeah, you always want to try to get the purchases in at the lows. And sure, if I seen it come down to this $14 level, I'd be definitely throwing in, be looking how can I get more into this. But I probably suspect a little bit more of a mild retracement in silver, probably within this triangle. If it breaks this triangle, we just have the larger one right down here. So we got a couple different descending triangles that silver's running in right now, which are somewhat bearish. They're continuation patterns, so we could see it come here, and if it breaks that, it's going to break down, and this could break down here and then find itself here and here in the worst case scenario. So I don't want to completely rule that out for you guys, and that's why for me it's kind of risky just buying into some of the mining stock, because you never know what's going to happen. I'd much rather buy in once it confirms here, and then you got a pretty good stop loss or line in the sand to say, hey, I'm out of this stuff. It's just acting a little bit too crazy. Anyway, I'll probably do a weekly analysis on silver, and I mean, we can get into a shorter time frame too. When we get into the hour, all this stuff, I mean, we can do it from the 4, 3, 2, 1 hours, and it's the same as doing the month, week, day, 4 hour. Just depends on the time frames that you're trading on. I mean, silver's not moving too much to be like a swing trade day to day, but if you're using this in conjunction with a different silver mine stock, then maybe perhaps it is. So yeah, you can see like when you get into the hours, it's already going up and down, right? But that's the value of the different time frames, and I got to get running here. So hopefully you guys have a good day. Thanks. Talk to you later. Bye bye.